I was still a teenager, and when women's ordination was worldwide was probably still a twinkle in lots of people's eyes. I read your book, Did Christ Rule Out Women Priests? And I wrote to you telling you about what I perceived as a vocation, and you wrote back and said, prepare yourself. So I did. I studied theology, and 16 years later I still feel exactly the same. And I just wonder what advice you would give to those of us who are frustrated. I had a conversation with a priest friend of mine just before I came to Dublin, and he said to me, why do you stay? And I get asked this on a regular basis. Why don't you join the Church of Scotland? Why don't you become an Episcopalian? And I can give the answer, but every time it's asked, you just feel more and more frustrated. And I just wonder what advice you have for those of us who feel that way.
Well, I have no easy answer. You know, when 30, 40 years ago, I was more optimistic at the time of what was possible in the church. In fact, I said on the BBC once that this is going to come in 30 years' time. Of course, now the situation has changed dramatically. And I really suffer, you know, in my heart with the tremendous frustration that is being done to people, and the injustice done to the church by, you know, gifted women being withheld from giving their best, you know, to the Christian community. It's really terrible, and I have no easy, immediate answer. But I would say, look back in history and see how these things have often, unfortunately, demanded sacrifice. And perhaps the gospel, where Christ says, you know, the grain has to die. Sorry. And I know it's a cruel thing to say, but it is true. You see, the grain has to die often in order to bear fruit. What happened to Myra is a good example. I know Myra very well. I think it's so cruel what's being done to her. At the same time, she may have actually promoted the cause more by what has happened to her than if Rome would have ignored it. Yeah. You know, God has his own way of working. I'm sorry, Helen. I know it's not an easy answer, but I would say think again, think in the future, and don't give up hope, because it can change soon. In a different world, there's so much fast communication. The groundswell is so good. You all know we got a support message from the Katholische Frauenbund in Germany. The Katholische Frauenbund, 700,000 members, the Catholic Women's Organization of Germany, sent their solid support. That means it's the heart of the church there. We've had, you know, so something is moving. The Spirit is not doing nothing. It's groaning for new life in us, and will make a new creation.
Thank you.